Hi guys, it is Vu again, and obviously there's a lot of excitement today, the 7th of October, for those who purchased ATLA or got into this ATLA project a while back, the guys who were part of the private round. So I want to just run you through my thoughts. Yesterday, I introduced the whole idea. I introduced the idea behind my calculator, which I will still give the same disclosure. It's not giving advice or solicitation, and calculators come with risks. So if there's risks, please make sure that you're checking the cells yourself and adjust it for yourself, okay? But there were questions around how people are processing what they should do. And so today I'm focusing on the question of, should you hold on for dear life, hodl, or should you sell your letter? Okay. And before we start, I just want to take you through the various options which are there. And I think it's important for me to start here so that you can understand my rationale for everything. First of all, there is the private round people. These are the guys who've been in this project since last year, February, and have gone through the journey with the guys. Others have even been there before. And typically the guys who've been in part of this private round have been around up until now, right? This private round is ending today. So people have a final opportunity to buy at the private round prices today. Those prices have ranged anywhere from as low as around 18 cents. And if you had big money, you could even have bought or gotten access to ATLA for around 12 cents, okay? But on average, it's between as low as 18 cents all the way to $1 per ATLA that people bought it for, right? That is the early private round phase, which is ending today. It's been a journey, right? And then there's a public round phase, which is starting tonight at midnight, 11:59 UTC, right? That public round phase is going to start selling at $15. So you guys can see the difference between the price here and the price here, right? At $15, right? There'll be 150 million ATLA available. In the private round sale, the ATLA available for distribution was 330 million. So now there's a third batch. The third batch is what's already available on the open market through Mexi. And you can see what the price is there. It's $38.71. Yesterday was at $40, okay? So there are these different price points that people are going to have entered into, right? The guys who are coming in through the public round, you guys can see the price. The guys, but this is the catch. The people between the private round and the public round, right, have got limitations in terms of how much they can sell when they can sell. Open market guys don't have any limitations. I can buy in the open market, go to Mexi, buy my ATLA, buy it today for $38, and if the price goes up to $60 tomorrow, I can sell it for $60. The guys in the private round and public round don't have that luxury. They have to wait until they can sell, or if they can sell, they can't sell it at the full price of 38.71 cents or whatever the market price is at that time. Okay, so now let's go into what do you do here? If you are a person who went in the private early round or private round now, which is closing tonight, what do you do tomorrow, right? What do you do when the over-the-counter platform becomes ready? Because both these people, the early round, private round early guys and the private round now guys, are going to be able to sell that letter over the counter. There's a platform which has been set up for them to be able to sell. Now, I'm going to go into my rationale, which is when I start using the calculator. For me, before I start thinking around what I'm going to sell for, obviously there's a couple of things that I need to think about, right? Let me just update this price from yesterday. Yesterday was 40.31. Today, let me see where it's sitting. Right now, it's at 39.10. So I'm just going to update that to 39.10. And guys, I've updated the sheet. So when you download the sheet again, you'll see this updated version. Okay. So now it's 39.10. Obviously, that means what? The price goes up and down. We don't know what the price is going to be in the future. All right. So if depending on now that there's an avenue for us to sell our Atleta as early holders who are people who bought Atleta through the private early round. When you go into here and you decide that you are selling your Atleta, you have to consider a couple of things. Remember what I said. The public offering is there. Public offering, everybody's going to be buying from there come end of midnight UTC tonight. So those guys will start buying at $15 all the way down to $10. And that's dependent on the number of Atleta that they're buying, right? This is still great because they're getting a discount from what the market is selling at, which is $39, okay? However, these guys can't sell to the open market for around 18 months, right? They have to hold for 18 months. And then after 18 months, it'll start getting released bit by bit, around 5% per month for them to be able to go and sell. That's my understanding. Now, because of that, because they can't sell for the next 18 months or so, what they do have, though, is they are benefiting from a very low price. So Atleta would have to literally drop to around a price of 15 and below. When it starts dropping below 15, that's when they will be out of the money, right? But they have no guarantee of where Atleta will be at that time. So you have to have your own views in terms of where you think Atleta is going to be. Now, for the guys who are early, who were part of the early round and who got that letter during the early round, they're thinking, hey, we bought at anywhere between 18 cents to as high as $1. Maybe we might want to take some profits. So they come here and they say they take profits. Why? There's a couple of things, guys. Some people say, hey, let me take my money that I originally bought from my letter for, and then I'm playing with house money. I'm playing whether it goes up or down. I don't really care because I didn't lose my money, right? So imagine a person who went and they bought Atleta for when it started, this the new public private offering that's going through. Let's say they bought at the 20 cents level. I'm just giving an example here. All right. And then later on, they went and they bought at another 1,000. They bought it at 40, 400. And here they purchased for 200. Because there were times when these early offerings were there. So it means that they've paid 20 cents per letter and 40 cents respectively, right? And they say, I just want to get my $600 because whatever happens, then I know that I haven't lost money. And that person will say, okay, how much do I have to sell in order to get my 600? And so they'll sell maybe around 50, let's say 40. I'm just giving you an example. So 45. They're selling 45. Okay. Let me just leave it at 60 because I obviously. So they sell 50. They make a little bit of a profit because they're thinking, hey, let me allow for some fees that I paid when I was converting. They could even say, I want to sell a little bit more because I actually want to account for taxes. I don't know. So let's just say they say I'm going to sell 100. Okay. Now this person has bought it for 600, and you can see on the other side they are going to get around 1,250. How do they get this price? They're selling 100. They've looked at the price on the public offering. Remember what I said? There's going to be competition in terms of prices between here and here. If you're selling over the counter here, you will look at what the public offering is because people can just go to the public offering and just take that price if your price is higher than this. A person who's coming in wanting to buy right now is going to try and buy at the lowest price. So if the price is lower here, they won't go to you. If the price is lower, they might come and buy from you, obviously, but they're still locked in. So it's for those guys who are looking for that discount. So here, I'm looking at the price of what it would be if you're selling 100. I've updated it with this price, as you guys can see, right? And so the person would be selling, offering at $12.50, which is a discount to what the public offering is offering it for. Is the price here? I've got a little checker. Is the price lower than the public price? Yes. Am I making a profit? Yes. Why? I bought it at 600, and now it's at 1250 that I'm getting my proceeds. So I've made a profit. My profit is 650. Okay. So that's the first thing. People are trying to say, I'm locking in my profits, and now I'm playing with house money. And then they can let this thing run with the remainder of that token. So now they're left with 900 tokens. They no longer have 1,000, and they can do whatever they want, sell whenever they want to. That's the one strategy. Okay. There's a second strategy where people are saying, wait a second, is there a way for me to maximize how much money I can make, right? So there's two ways to maximize how much money you can make if you're an early investor wanting to sell as much as possible or get money out for now, right? Remember, every time you're selling your tokens, you're forfeiting what you can sell them for in the future because you don't have those tokens anymore. So the next question I was asked a lot from people once they started playing around with this calculator, they said, well, Vu, we want to see at the end of the public offering, because we know that the public offering is going to offer 150 million tokens, and that the public offering price goes up for every 10 million that's been sold. What is the maximum price of the public offering when it's right at the end? Because it's going to drive my decision in terms of what I can do right now or what I should be doing, because I'm trying to maximize even if I'm selling through the over-the-counter platform. So I created this. This is the second one, which is looking at a forward projection. So it's not just looking at what the over-the-counter is offering right now in terms of the current public offering price. This one is looking at the forward public offering price. And here, for instance, what I'm showing is that at this current price of $40, right? The public offering, if everything else stays the same, if that letter price just stayed at $39.10, it didn't move. You would have to sell in the public offering 50 million ATLA first before you can get to this public offering, this market price, right? So after 50 million, that's when you see the public offering right now being $40. Why? It started at $15. It'll increase to 20 after 10 million have been sold, and it'll increase to 25 after 20 has been sold, increase to 30 after 30 million has been sold, and increase to 35 after 40, and so it goes all the way up. It's effectively showing you that by the time they've sold the entire 150, they're expecting that the price will be at 85. Now, first question that I get is, if they are selling all the way to 50 and the price is at 85, how will people agree to buy at 85 and it be locked in and go through that vesting and cliff if the market is still low? And that's where this whole thing about burning is going to come through. Remember that they have announced that they're going to burn. Initially, it was going to be 3 million in circulation, and now they're 3 billion in circulation. And now they've said that they're going to reduce that amount from 3 billion to 1 billion because they're going to burn 2 billion of those atletas. Now, when you burn and you lower the amount, maximum amount which can be in circulation, and let's say the demand is high, there's a high probability that the price could increase. Now, I don't know what the price is going to increase to, but I'm sure that the guys are thinking in the background in terms of how do they actually increase this price of Atleta. If everything else stayed the same, and they just change the allocation and there's more demand, they change the number of Atleta which will be available, maximum, and then everything else stays the same and there's more demand, you could typically say, if they're going to burn 2/3, the price then maybe should triple, go up to around $90 to $120. We don't know, but I'm just saying that as a burn, it will impact that price, okay? And so that price, the burning, is going to impact the ability for them to kind of like monitor and see what is happening between the open market price where people can buy today, sell tomorrow, and the public offer price, which is going up every 10 million. So this is the math. This is where it gets interesting, right? And then you guys, us, the guys who went in the private stage phase, if you go and you sell today, you are offering your atleta at the first public offer price, which is the base price, the $15. You're trying to be below here so that your atletas can be taken up. They can be scooped up quickly. So in the same example that I gave before, and I was talking about this person who decides to buy, and now I'm going to go and change it to the values that I was using here. This person bought for 200, and then they later on went and bought for 400. That is that cost. That's what they paid, right? So now this is happening, and they're thinking, I want to get some money. I want to make as much money as possible, but I'm not happy with this price. I don't want to just get a profit of, let me see. So let me just make it similar here and put 100 here as well. I want to make it the same. Okay. So they say, here, I could cut my losses, make my profit, and then now I'm playing with house money. The other thing they could say, even if I'm playing with house money, I want to be smart in terms of how I'm doing it, right? So they say, wait a second. I know that if I sell right now at this base price, I'm going to probably offer around 12.5, 13, whatever. Say it's 12.5, right? The profit that I've made is 650 because I've got 12.15. But the person could also say, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually not going to sell the entire 100 at one go, right? Or I'm going to actually say, what if I sell only 50 at this particular level, right? Let me just sell only 50. And then I'm going to wait for this second part to come through after the 10 million. I want the price to go up. And when the price goes up, that's when I'll sell my other 50. So here, they say I'm going to sell for 50. You have to put the scenarios yourselves. At a 50 price there, you see, now at 50, it's 1480 here, right? So here, technically, they can take it up a little bit. And then here, they've got that as well. And now they're moving from the base price, they're going to the second price. So here, the floor in terms of competition with the public offering is going to be like that. And here, the floor is going to be that because it's 1418, which is lower than what they had when they were selling 100, right? So now they can put their offer, oopsie. They could put their offer here for 13. Just giving you an example. Or let's say they leave it at 12. So now they've made that 650 where they've made back their money. And then the next month they sell another 50, or that when the next batch is being sold, the next 10 million is being sold, they're getting a higher price. So now they're getting 725. So all in all, now they've made a profit of 750. They've made slightly more, you see, than the previous one where they're just selling at one go, where they're making 1250. Now they've made 1350. And as you build more tokens, guys, these numbers start to make a lot of sense. Now, the last part, which I'm considering myself as well, is guys, okay, oh, and the last thing to just think about, right? If this person just waits and they say, I'm not going to sell at all right now, I know I can't sell at 34. I'm going to wait until these guys have sold at least 50 million, and this is when I'm going to start selling because I want this $40 price. This $40 price looks very appealing to me. So imagine if that person says, I'm going to wait until 50 million, And guys, I just want to highlight something. Right now in the private round, which was the last one right now, they had 65 million tokens. And this last private round ran for, I'd say, roughly around 6 weeks. And in those 6 weeks, they sold roughly around 50 million atletas. So it's saying in 6 weeks, they got to this 50 million. So imagine here, now it's public offering. We've got all these players, sports players, all of these guys, influencers now promoting this thing. And then there's this new blockchain arena coming through. They could get to this 50 million much faster on the public offering side. So let's say you say, I'm going to wait until the price gets to that 50 because I want to sell, even in my OTC, I want to sell at a higher price, right? So there you say, I'm waiting because you want this price. You want somewhere closer to that price. So let's say you wait, and then here you wait for this to look a bit like this. Because you are selling 100. And let's say it's around here. Okay. And then, and I'm just going to put 100 here, give the same example. Okay. So now your offer price is going to be much higher, right? Because you've got a floor of, 38 now, right? That's your floor. So now here you could put an offer price of, say, 35. Okay. So now look at that. You're selling the same 100 tokens. You're not selling them right now when everybody's excited and they're going. You're saying, I'm going to be a bit patient. I believe that this price could go up. I believe that this public offering is going to happen. I think people are going to buy it. So I'm going to take that chance. Now, the reality is that you don't know what's going to happen to the public offering. They might not get there, but I'm thinking they might. So let's say they get there. You're doing the same thing, but you're just postponing when you start selling. When you start selling, then you could potentially have a higher floor. And because you've got a higher floor, then you can put a higher offer price to the market. You're still selling at a discount to what the market is selling. And even if you sell at 35, you're going to make 3,500 versus if you were making 1,250 right now. So I'm saying if you're desperate, sell right now. If you're not desperate, take your time. Understand, learn everything. Apologies, guys. That was horrible. I'm right in the middle. Just let's go on. So then that is where it's going to be. Okay. So you could make more by just waiting. That's the other part. Okay. 3,500. Now, the next part, which we should think about is what if you're saying, okay, I want to hold off. I don't want to sell. I'm not sure if I want to sell. What is driving my idea to sell or not sell? Or you're a person who's got multiple accounts and you're trying to figure out, when I mean accounts, I mean you've got multiple wallets where you've got a bit, maybe 1,000 in this wallet, another 1,000 in another wallet. You're trying to figure out, how do I best utilize this thing to make the best of the decisions? Now, this is where I go into the background. And I'm going to run you through that background. So bear with me. Now, the background is this. Okay. If you guys remember when we first were buying in the private round, buying atletas in the private round, it had what they call cliff and then a vesting and cliff, right? Which means you have to wait for a while before these atletas can start getting released for you to sell at the market price, the top price, right? And for us, the period was around 18 months. Guys, if you remember, here it was, right? It was saying if so many atletas were sold, then the cliff, that holding period, the locked up period would be less. Meaning from the day that you bought, you have to wait for 18 months before they can start being released by 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. Historically, when things started, they were going to create an avenue for us to be able to sell up to 30% with penalties instead of getting the 5%, being able to sell the 5%. We're going to get up to 30% because we're going to be the first ones to release that letter into the market. They've changed a little bit and I've adjusted it. And I think it's been good changes, which is where we are right now, where we can sell all of our things because now there's this over-the-counter platform. This over-the-counter platform is going to be available. It's not stopping. You can do it. It's not going to stop. They're not going to say that you can only do this for today or next week. It's going to run throughout the entire time as a public offering is happening, and it's going to continue to run. Okay. So now they've created a liquidity event for early the private round guys to be able to sell earlier than before. Now, remember that as soon as you sell in this over-the-counter platform period, you effectively resetting when this thing happens, right? Where you start getting released 5% to sell to the market. What's the advantage of selling to the market? Selling to the market means that you're able to sell at whatever that price is. Now they will release that in 5%, 5%, 5%, and that goes over, like to release everything, it takes around 20 months, okay? So that's a bit over just under 2 months for them to be able to release everything, right? So you wait for 18 months, and then when that 18 month period ends, then you start the 5%, 5%. So the whole journey for you is going to take you around 4 years to be able to get 100% of your atleta, where you are able to sell them at whichever price that you want. Okay. So whenever you start and you say, I'm going to sell on the over-the-counter platform from your wallet, immediately what happens is that you're resetting that 18-month period for you to start getting the 5% released to which you can sell to the market, the unrestricted one. Okay. From videos that I've been watching, and I'm not sure because we need clarity, it seems that also when you stake, the same thing happens. So this is the thing. For your liquidity, you are forfeiting something. And you have to just be comfortable with what you're forfeiting, right? Because what you're forfeiting is the ability for you to sell at any price on the open market. But at least you've got some options to sell on this over-the-counter platform. So I just want you guys to think of that. And here, the last part is I've just done a little bit of an exercise for you, talking about the same person who was selling on the other side. So imagine a person who says, I'm going to sell 5% of my holdings. I want to let it ride, wait for the 18-month period. Now, because of the fact that the token generation event initially was supposed to be February 25, we've been in this journey. There was some things that took a little bit longer, but I think that it taking long actually worked out well for us because the project is a much bigger project. Atleta is a much nicer project. I'm loving all the things that's happening. Now the token generation event was not February as initially planned, which was February 25. It became the 16th of August 2025, which means it's 6 months later. I don't know if that means that this release as well has been moved from what we're seeing in the old Limitless platform back office, where it's showing you that the release of the 5% happens. I'm not sure if that moves it to 6 months. And because of that, I want to just wait and get the details firstly, because I want to fully understand what my decisions mean. Okay. So if it is in another 6 months, it means for the guys who came in February 2024, right? Their 5% release is around the corner. If it hasn't been been moved for 6 months. If it has been moved for 6 months, it means that 5% will start happening in the next 6 months. Meaning in 6 months, they'll start getting a release of 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, which they can sell to the market, right? And then they're not restricted with that 5%. The 5% gets released on a monthly basis. So I said, if you were to do that, it doesn't matter whether, I'm not sure, if you're just going to do that, you say whatever the time is going to be, I'm going to wait, I'm not going to stake, I'm not going to use the over-the-counter platform, then what happens? Let's just look at that same person that I've been talking about, the 100 person who's got 100 tokens, and then they sell 100 later on. And I'm going to go into this and say, you still want to sell 100. What happens here? So here, what I'm going to do is let me just see these cells. Okay. So here, because you're only going to be released, only 5% is going to be released when this lockup period ends. 5% will be released. If you've got 1,000 tokens, you're not going to get the entire 100, but you'll get 50. But if you've got 2 accounts, then you will get 50 plus 50, which makes it 100 again. Okay. So let's just do this here and say it's multiplied by 2. Because you've got 2 accounts, which you don't touch. So now you've got 100. And let's just see what happens if your 2 accounts now release the 50-50 and you just hold it, and now you can sell it at whatever the market price is. Provided the market price stays at 39.5, which is today's price, then it means that you'll be making 3,910, okay? Whereas if you went and did it on the over-the-counter platform, as I showed you guys before, you'd put that offer today, given that the public offering is at 15 cents, you'll put it at $12.5, which means you're only making 1.25. The other way to look at it is that if you're only selling one of these accounts and not both of them to get to 100, oopsie, sorry, to get to 100, you'd be selling only 50 and you're still making 1950, which is way more than if you were selling 100 on the over-the-counter platform at the beginning. So guys, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot for people to know. I feel like the community and us, everybody is running too quickly to go and try and sell without really understanding the full implications of everything that we're doing. And maybe perhaps there is some revenue, there's some space to say, let me hold off a bit. And if you're fortunate enough to have maybe 3 wallets or 2 wallets, maybe just do a sale on the 1 wallet, because then that wallet will be reset to that lockup period and the other ones won't be. So this is just my views. I don't know what everybody's going to do. There's no right and wrong. There's no crystal ball. We don't know where ATLA is going to be in a month, in 6 months. There's risks and opportunities at every avenue. You guys know this crypto journey. It's an up and down journey. It's extremely volatile. Nobody knows, but everybody's trying to make the best decisions. So I wish you all the best in whatever decision you do, but I hope that this calculator will help you guys. So please feel free. I'm happy for you to download it, use it to whatever way you want to use it. But remember, I am not giving financial advice, 1, and I am not soliciting anything from you, 2, and 3, make the best decisions for yourself. Talk to your financial advisor, talk to your tax advisor, get advice from people who know more, do your research, and then make an informed decision. Just don't jump and say, I'm just going to sell when you don't have information. Be careful in what you're doing. Take your time. I certainly know that I don't want to be that person who went and bought pizza with all my Bitcoin. So take your time, look at the information, look at the project, look at the developers, look at everything that's happening, guys who are building, and then make informed decisions. Make informed decisions. All right. Wishing everybody the best. That's it. Thank you from my side. Yeah.